We are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the session 3 or third release of Building on Purpose TubeCast. Now, why do we call it a TubeCast? Well, because nobody watches podcasts anymore. Nobody has an iPod. They have YouTube. They have videos. I can't tell you the last time I just listened to a podcast. When I listen to a podcast, I go to YouTube now. I type in what I want to learn, and I can hear the person and I can see them. So that's why I was like, the hell with it. We'll invent it and we'll call it a TubeCast. So Nate Burket, Riverview Decks, thank you so much for joining us today on the Building on Purpose TubeCast, sponsored by, that's right, I actually have a sponsor now, property.com. Sponsored by property.com, helping you connect, convert, and close with local homeowners in your area. If you're interested in property.com, come and check it out. The link is somewhere below. Excellent. Good. Nate, how you doing, brother?
Good, man. Hey, it's an honor to be here. I appreciate you inviting me out to just talk shop, and I love what you're doing. It's always exciting to get a chance to get your energy. So
yeah, man.
Thanks for having me.
Today's a good day. As you know, you've been to quite a few of the trainings on Wednesdays over there for our Improvifi clients. We do the insider training, which is like a multitude of different type of topics. Today was pretty fun. We discussed how to train your team on a weekly basis, like your sales training, right? And then kind of how to mix the old financing stuff into it. It was a really high energy fun. We had a good group of people in there sharing. And then yesterday was Financing 101, how to sell financing. And then tomorrow is go-to-market strategies. And man, I'll tell you what, Nate, dude, I just got off of a sales team call. We've got a team here now, and there was 5 people on that. You know this from growth. Awesome. Last year, there was one who was me. And I was selling, I was janitorizing, I was CEOing, oh my God.
Hey, you can't show up late to work, man. It's you, yourself, and you.
last year was tough. This year I show up to a sales meeting. I got an entire team staring at me. It was really a blessing. Now you've experienced some growth, right? At Riverview, huh?
Yeah. We're let's see. We're at the 9th W-2 employee, and then of course we have about 9 subcontractors crews as well. So
that's amazing.
Yeah,
dude.
it's been good. We're growing quite a bit. So I'm looking at the 1,800 square foot behind me here that we'll be punching out to put some production offices together for. So
that's
pretty
amazing. Cool. Now, before I get into the structure of Building on Purpose is to really do 5 things, ask 5 questions, and you answer, how the thing is. It's like, what's your why and all that stuff. But I just want to share with anybody who's watching this how awesome the decking business is. Like, so you and I discussed this at dinner. There's the grudge purchase, which is your roofing and your air conditioning. They have to have it. They don't want it, but they have to have it or else they'll die or their house. Then there's the want and need. That's your kitchen and bath and decking sometimes. And then there's the ego. And I think you and I could probably come to agreement that the decking business has a lot to do with ego, where they're like, I want the deck that does this and it looks this way. And you, of course, as a great consultant, go, why? Why do you want the deck to do all that? And their answer is our family, our friends, the value of our home increased. We want the hibachi grill. Our summers are only 3 months. We want to take full advantage of all 90 days. Buffalo, New York. You know what I mean? Like, you're selling a want, need, ego. But the coolest thing about what you guys do when you show up is they think it's going to be 10 grand, which buys them 10 feet by 10 feet. Right? Some pylons in the ground and some waterproofing, whatever y'all sell. And then you're like, oh, it's actually what you want. What your dream deck is going to be 30 or $297 a month if you're looking for financing, right?
That's right.
So how many times, so tell us, how many times you show up and it turns from we want this to here's the reality. What's that sales process look like in the decking industry?
It's often and frequent. I mean, people have no idea why things cost what they do. And when we end up showing up, they have no clue what things cost. That's why they've called us. We're the only person that really got the call first to show up. We like to just think of ourselves as educators at that point, because there's really nowhere they can go to get a clear analysis of what things cost. And so we're, more often than not, it's sticker shock. It's holy cow, we had no idea. How do people pay for things like this? Sometimes, like what is it that they do to be able to afford stuff like this? And it's like, you're not shocked because you hear it so frequently, but then you are, because you're like, how did you not think about that before I showed up? Where were you expecting this money to come from? Where had you even thought about, or have you and your significant other had a conversation about what funds are available for us to put into this project, even if it's 10 grand, and usually that's never the case. People don't plan like that. They get a dream or an idea and they think, let's just call the contractor, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, we when we train to it, we call it payment. I'm sorry, we call it pregnant pause. Now, pregnant pause can be good. We're finally pregnant, or it can be like, you're pregnant. You know what I mean? Like, but at least you found out that there's pregnancy. Like, so sometimes the shock and awe of 10 grand only gets us that is okay. It's all right. A lot of our customers feel the same way you do. Now we make it, now we normalize it. We've price conditioned to them. We've educated them. But now we look at them, Nate, and go, but you know what, Mr. Smith? You don't have to empty out your savings and sell your Bitcoin quite yet, because we've got a consumer credit center at Riverview Decks. We can bring you affordability, right? This isn't about financing, Nate. This is about you. Let's get into this bad boy. So
that's awesome.
This is like the Simon Sinek question, but I want to know, I want to share Riverview Deck's internals. I want to see the internal organs. Let's start with the heartbeat of your company. What is kind of your why? What is your why of you getting into the decking business? Why did you do Riverview Deck, man? Why?
It wasn't Riverview. In fact, we were a licensed general contractor doing home additions, bathrooms, kitchens. Our average job size was 80 to 100 plus thousand. And during the early onsets of, our pandemic, we'll call it, it became very relevant, or really relevant to me, that people were a lot harder to work with in person in their homes when they were living there full time. We were having supply chain issues. So I started looking at cash flow. I started looking at different deals that we had done and looking at profit margins, and realized the deck work was by far the quickest cash flow machine. Not only that, but there were very few people that were specializing in it. There's so many features that can go in it, and nobody really had it built out to where it was systemized. So we niched. I converted into, being a deck specific builder as a licensed GC. And now I look at our business a little differently. I remember growing up as a kid, that was the central meeting grounds for most of our family events, was the deck. And so I like to kind of think of it as a way that we're able to bring people together. It also is a place where we're now able to show off and reflect our craftsmanship, just add lasting value to a homeowner's life somehow, some way, give them a place where they can create those memories. I mean, I grew up boating, and I remember a lot of boating experiences where memories were made. The deck is sort of like a vacation away from home in the backyard, So just being able to build more than just decks. We're building trust, confidence. We're building an experience that will hopefully last and give them, a lot of future memories with their family and grandchildren and so forth.
Yeah, and those decks came a long way. Now, I was born in 1971. I remember some of the decks that we had around our kayak pool, whatever the pool was. It was like wood and treated wood, and if you got a sliver, you had to go to the hospital because it had asbestos. And dude, I grew up in a really dangerous era. Now, some of the decking stuff that you're installing lasts like a really long time now, right?
Yeah, longer than the lumber it's built with. So that's, we're now finding that there's other additional organic materials. Technically your composites now have various tiers. So you can go into the higher end stuff that has an organic makeup that's not wood plastic. It's not wood shavings and plastic regrind. It's, it's got slate and limestone. So it's got a 50-year warranty, and, they're nicer. They've got UV protectants. So they're, not so hot under your foot in the direct sunlight. They don't expand, contract. So you can miter cut and, use joinery and stuff like that to make them look really nice. There's so many things you can do that really elevate what you would see on the back of a house. And now
What's this? I mean, you just educated me on a lot of stuff. When you bring a sales pro and a consultant into your organization to sell for you, what's that training look like for them to become proficient enough to go out to a home to kind of spit out what you just spit out so beautifully and eloquently?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to start with the basics, really, because I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, it can be a lot of technical information
Yeah.
here. And most people, they're not ever really so much interested in a lot of that. People call us, and what I like to think of us as the educator, but I'm focused more on the process and the people that we're going to be able to bring into their home to make this happen. Those are
Got
the two things that I feel like execute a good experience. When someone really is so asphyxiated on products or price, you
it.
really you don't back yourself in a corner, but you don't really have a way to help them navigate
Yeah.
that experience or that project well. You got to get them off the mindset of what it costs, and those exact products. And at the end of the day, reassure them, hey, Chris, you called me out here for a safe and sound deck that's going to come with a warranty that you can put your whole family on. That's what we stand behind our work for. That's what we're here to do for you. So if you trust us, I'm going to give you the best experience. I'm going to put the right products on here that you won't have to worry about.
Yeah. And I think when you and I had dinner, you were mentioning the systems and processes and the community. I think more specifically, you mentioned your communication techniques that you like to utilize with your clients. So they kind of know the good and the bad through the entire project. Now, we both can
Yeah.
agree, not everything is smooth in my world, but my client success managers have a phone and an email, and hopefully they're communicating with our clients to let them know what's happening on in the process. You, I believe, have the same system and process set up for an order and an install and processing all the way through to install.
Yeah, I mean, we're very detailed. My background is in supply chain and logistics, and I'm very process driven. And
Yeah.
so when I started thinking through the process with milestone events and the construction phases, it's really simple to look at a Gantt chart and see how things are progressing along. But it really, it's more important to be able to pick the phone up and say, hey, look, just giving you a heads up, the guys are going to be out there next week. What you're going to see is this: we're
Yep.
tearing the deck off. It's going to be an explosion. Your backyard is going to be in disarray. Please do us a favor. Stay away. It's a mess, and
Take the doors shut. Don't let your kids step out into the open where you've cleared
or the
cleared
dog
land.
sail out the back door. That's happened before. I'm not
Oh, my
kidding. I
Lord.
watched it in slow motion on a GoPro video that was doing time lapse. A dog fly out the back door.
Yeah, because the dog is so trained like that. See, it's the little things that Riverview Decks thinks about to stop from happening. Awesome. All right, we got to get to question number 2. And I think you might have maybe already talked about it. Take us back. What sparked the beginning of you going from that contractor to the decks? Well, why'd you start your Riverview, the decks? Was it supply chain and just was it the COVID thing or whatever that lockdown was?
Yeah,
Was
I
that
mean, we had some constraints, and supply was. I was dealing with a kitchen renovation where the materials weren't going to be around. There was no cash to pull off the job, so we had to go somewhere else and find work and money to draw in and pay the bills. So
you shifted. Like you're like, okay, downshift, but your shift ended up actually working out for you because you're in a real niche, profitable business now.
Yeah,
that's a good shift.
Yeah, niche. I couldn't market what we were doing either. It was really hard. Bathrooms, kitchens, home additions. I mean, you really have 3 separate businesses within one. And if you want to market for bathrooms and be the best, and then let every all sources on the line lead to you for bathrooms, well, that's fine, but it's going to cost you a lot if you've got a lot of competition in your marketplace for all of those different. And that's the case. It's no different than like roofing. If I wanted to be the biggest roofer in town, it would be really expensive for me to market overnight what it would take. Decks, there weren't many people doing it, and still aren't really many people doing it from the same approach. So got in it right away, just immediately started. It didn't happen overnight either. Marketing took a little while to kick off, but now a year and a half later, our local SEO is crushing it. We have moat built around our market right now.
What market are you in? What market are you in for the people that don't know where you are?
East Tennessee.
So can you build all year long?
We basically serve. Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
build all year long. I mean, when it gets to the point where there's weather, I come see you in Utah. But overall, we've got the ability.
I love it, man. That's so cool. Your story reminds me of my buddy Marty that's out in Colorado, Denver Patio Masters. His story's pretty unique. Anybody watching this that knows Marty Toma, I got to have Marty on here. He's a energetic, bald-headed dude just like me. So Marty explained it to Corey Combs and I out at a roof hour event or some type of event. Went out for dinner. He's like, walked in the office one day, Chris. He's really like, Marty's fun. Walked in the office one day, saw a stack of paper like this, and I saw a stack of paper like that. Asked my office assistant what this paper was. He said, those are all your permits for your remodeling, general contracting, baskets, and all this. And she said, well, what is that stack? She goes, those are your orders for your patios. And he goes, we're in the patio business. And that's how he did. I hate to steal his story because I got to have him on. But anyway, all right, let's get to number 3. Who do you serve? Tell us who your kind of your ideal customer is. Who do you love working with, and then the why? Like, who's your ideal customer out there in the East Tennessee market or anywhere where you're building?
Yeah, I mean, I like to think of us as high value, high quality construction, like mainly people who value clear communication, peace of mind. Clients who want a turnkey, elevated outdoor experience, not just a contractor or handyman kind of thing. Someone who's looking for high expectations. They've got high expectations. They appreciate knowing clarity on timelines, professionalism, want a warranty that's backed by good products. Those are usually the major factors. But I was tired of dealing with people who wanted to try and get one up on me constantly.
Yeah.
And I felt like that as a contractor doing certain projects where we weren't really like, it's almost like we were learning on every job when we were doing interior stuff, because none of them were the same. I mean, I was tearing apart 60-year-old homes, putting, big projects. So it's like learning on the job, feeling like they were getting one up on me, maybe even the feeling of like them being 10 or 15 steps ahead of where you're thinking right now. Because you're in the day-to-day grind, like, hey, we've got to solve a problem right here before we get to that. I know you want to see the tile finishes, and I know you want to see the fixtures get all installed, but we're not there yet. We are still here dealing with a problem that was unknown, with decks.
Yeah, man. Dude, I hear you. I was your nightmare. When Tiff and I did our kitchen flooring remodel in Florida, I was the GC.
Yeah.
And I hired all the subs. I was the worst GC in the world. I didn't know how many steps were involved. I had to go pick out the cabinets. I had to get the cabinets delivered, put together, installed, electrical plumbing redone. I had to go order the granite, the counters. I had to go pick it out. Then I had to have it seamed and cut. Mm-hmm. Then I had to have it installed. They installed my island backward. The lines didn't match up. You guys, I was the worst GC ever because I tried to do it myself instead of hiring a specialist. But man, the flooring ended up costing me an extra $10,000 because they had to level it out because we didn't know the flooring dropped down 3.5 inches throughout the whole home.
Oh, wow.
If I was in the decking business, it would have just been a deck. Anyway. Now we get to two more finalizing things. We like to keep these pretty short, about 30 minutes or so. But anyway, what are your core values? What's your mission? What's your purpose? That's like the real good. What are the principles of what drives you and your team to operate that whole day in, that day out? Missions, core, purpose. What is it?
Yeah, I mean, our mission here is to design and build outdoor living spaces that elevate our clients' lifestyles, backed by unmatched craftsmanship, a 5-star experience, and commitment to do what we say we're going to do when we say we're going to do it. Our core values are pretty straightforward. They're all over the place. We kind of brand our values everywhere, but prompt, professional, proactive communication. And I'll tell people this too. I actually hire and fire based off of these. So if for some reason you're worried about the fact that you're not doing well in your role, check yourself against the core values. Have you been prompt and professional and proactively communicating what's going on with your team, with your clients? Secondly, are you service-minded? We naturally like to find ourselves solution-minded people, and we want to solve problems. So we generally want to help. Do you listen more than you speak with the intent to understand? When you're dealing with a high-end client,
that's a good one.
It's hard, and I'm the worst at it because
me too.
yeah,
I am too.
it's so hard to just want to like let somebody dump the problem off on you. And there's a guy in Nashville that does outdoor living and ponds, and he's also a coach in the world of contracting. And one of the things he said to me at one point, he's like, you almost have to act like people have this shirt on that says "Make me feel important" always in home improvement construction. So that was part of that. We like to like this. We like to think of this other one as our Ritz-Carlton sort of experience, but we want to roll the red carpet out for others as a servant leader. So we truly do want the experience to be magnificent in any way we can. And unfortunately, I'll tell you, we've had a hard time dialing back on giving clients this impression that it's going to be a Ritz-Carlton experience. We have had to do a lot more. Hey, by the way, can I show you what happens when things don't go well? And this may happen on your project. And honestly, we're not perfect either. And I may not answer my phone at 9 o'clock at night when you're not happy. Is that okay? What happens when that happens, right? Because that's been an issue where we've built and elevated what we thought the experience was going to be way up here and then under delivered on accident. So we're starting to realize like we're still human. So we've got to fall on the sword every once in a while. And the last one is just no excuses, like zero excuses. I used to say sorry a lot for things, even though I don't feel like I was ever responsible for them. And now I don't say sorry. I say, I'm sorry you feel that way. I will do everything in my power to resolve this though.
Love it.
Because I take pride and ownership in everything. I really do. I give too many cares for things sometimes, and it kind of affects me. It bites me in the butt sometimes. So I have to dial that back a little.
I love that you said that you hire to it. Thank you for that. That is brilliant. And I'm going to share that when I get off this call, with Tiff. We've got, mission statement, all the stuff, all the words. But I really, really like that. And I think that you also said, like if you work to this list, you're always going to do the right thing.
Yeah. I mean, any problem we have, honestly, I can literally pull the core values up and start to address any of the problems that we face and go, hold on a second here. First and foremost, did we promptly and professionally and proactively communicate this to the people that are going to be involved? And if not, is that why this has gone sideways?
That's interesting. We unfortunately had to let someone go yesterday. And now that you've just taught me that, I'm reflecting upon if that particular teammate was aligned with that. But thank you. Because training and having meetings to make sure that our business development managers are aligned, that our client success managers are aligned. So thank you very much, Nate, for sharing that. I got a great value out of this. That's why this is called the building on purpose TubeCast. It's not building on purpose. You're building it on purpose. No, we're building on purpose. So I appreciate you for sharing that. We got one more question, man. This is a good one. This is my favorite question. How do you, Riverview Decks, stand out as a differentiator in your marketplace? What are you doing to make that difference, to make sure that, if there's 3 deck companies coming out to pitch, what is the differentiating things that Riverview is doing over your competitors in your marketplace?
I'd say there's a few here. The 3-day deck completion option. I mean, a lot of our projects can physically be built in a very quick time frame. And that's one of the things that we've advertised. We tell people.
Speed. People pay for speed.
That's it. 3-day deck. So, I mean, we're one of the only in town that has a streamlined, transparent, very professional process that delivers high-end outdoor living spaces. So, 3 days is very doable with very high-end quality finishes. A certified process, elite materials, dedicated customer experience. So project managers are, assigned to the job. You really have 2 to 3 people that you can communicate with. We have a client experience manager. We have the project manager, and then we have the superintendent, and they're usually all very readily available and accessible. Milestone-based payment scheduling. So a lot of people kind of get a little weirded out about a big investment like this. Where's the milestone? And we want to see progress. Our progress is very well visible. We even do inspections throughout the process. So once the demo is completed, now the next check's coming. We're going to go out. We're going to do a walkthrough with the homeowner and just verify, does everything look like it should? Are there any questions? And, oh, that is that way, so that when we get to this phase, we're prepared for it. And I mean, white glove services are, far and few between, I think. But when you make this many contact points with a homeowner and you really start to give them this much detail, people do start to consider you more of a white glove. I mean, there was a point in time when we got a Google review that only stayed on Google for like a second because they kicked it out. But the woman had said, "You guys are the Chick-fil-A of deck builders." And I'm like, what else could you ask for? Like, this is exactly what we want,
I love it.
So,
dude, that's great.
yeah.
I don't know if you could trademark that, but man,
we don't work on Sunday either. So,
Yeah, I love it. That's so great, man. Well, dude, it's a great story. I appreciate you, man. I hate to say this. Sorry, Randy Hurtado, and sorry, Adam Rossman. You guys were session 1 and session 2 on Building on Purpose. This is a good one, man. I can't wait to share this out. So what we're going to do is wrap it up, folks. I thank you all for joining us here on the Building on Purpose TubeCast, sponsored by Property.com. We were fortunate enough to have Nate. I've known Nate for quite a while now. We've really grown to like each other, which is great. Nate, thank you for sharing your story and your team story and your mission. Yeah. You educated me today, man, and I'm super excited because I feel like sometimes I'm just the teacher, the educator, and the motivator. It's so nice to actually come on here and ask questions and learn from our clients. So thank you so much for sharing your story. Yeah. I'm going to let you get back to work, and then we're going to get this thing launched up into the YouTube world and all over the socials. Nate, I'll share this with you so you can put it wherever you want to put it as well. But thank you, brother, man. I appreciate you so much for sharing your story here.
You as well. Keep killing it. You guys are doing awesome too.
Thank you, Nate, man. Appreciate you so much. We'll see you next time, brother.
See you, man.